Glimpse TV. I'm Kate Northrup, and I'm coming to you from New York City with my dear friend, burlesque star and seduction expert, Kitty Cavalier. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I'm so excited to be here. And you know, as luck would have it, today is Valentine's Day. So you're getting this video later, but you can just retrace your steps back to what you were doing on Valentine's Day. Today is a day about love. And yes, it's been commercialized with Hallmark and chocolates and all of this stuff to be about romantic love. But also I think it's really can be a day about self-love. It's also the day of 1 Billion Rising, which is the Eve Ensler campaign about strike, dance, and rise. You can check out that as well. There's a link, 1 Billion Rising. It's over, but I'm sure there'll be something going on.
It will continue.
We will continue.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'd love to hear about, well, Kitty also runs a school called the School of Charm and Chic. So let's talk about that. What is the School of Charm and Chic?
So the School of Charm and Chic, you know, when I began my business, I thought that sounded really cute. And I was like,
and it still does, actually. So you were right.
And, you know, I didn't realize at the time what it really meant or what meaning it would take on. But, you know, when you look up the meaning of charm in the dictionary, it is having the sensation of pleasing or delight. And when you look up the sensation, or when you look up the meaning of cheek, it is endearingly irreverent. And so, you know, I've come to experience these two sides as almost like a yin and yang of living life, a really fun and joyous life. Because, you know, too much charm, if it's all charm, then it's like pretty and fun and cute, but that only gets you so far. Like, you need a little cheek in there. Hence your outfit today. All charm on the front, all cheek on the back.
Little cheek in the back.
Oh yeah. Notice that hot pink peeking through the lace,
and
right?
we both got the memo on the hot pink peeking through the lace, which is very charm and chic.
And very Valentine's
And we
Day.
did not talk about that ahead of time.
No.
By the way. Although, sometimes I do call up my girlfriends and say, what are you wearing? But we didn't do that.
Totally. I brought like 5 outfits for this thing. I'm like, what colors the couch can be? I don't want to blend in with the couch. It turns out we're on chairs, so it's all good.
It's neutral.
Anyway, so charm and chic have those two meanings to me, and the essence of my school is it's a school for women to basically learn how to reclaim those two elements as a source of power and as a source of knowing themselves more deeply and more intimately and having more fun, rather than just a source of frivolity and excess.
Okay, that's profound.
Thank you.
Yeah, because one of the things that I teach about is financial freedom and financial empowerment for women. I actually don't really like the word empowerment, but whatever.
Me either.
It's like a dirty noodle, like wet noodle, overused.
If anyone tells me to reclaim my power, I'm like, I instantly don't like you.
I know.
You know what I mean?
So we need to talk about other ways to say that, because I like what it means. I just don't like the things. Anyway, okay, so say that we want to be full throttle in our financial lives. I know that that's a journey you've been on, from moving from having a full-time job and a career that sort of turned you on, but maybe not really, and then now running your school and performing burlesque and teaching women how to love themselves. So talk to me about that journey.
Of the financial piece?
Well, the financial piece for sure, but then also just kind of like the overall path of how did you go from, you know, because, okay, so let's talk about Kitty here for a second. She's obviously gorgeous, and you might look at her and say, well, easy for her to do. Of course she can run a school called the School of Charm and Chic. When I met Kitty, she was equally gorgeous. However, there wasn't the same, like she was not running her own thing, total employee, you know, doing all these things. So I want to hear about that transformation, because I think it'll inspire a lot of people.
Yeah, okay, great. So when I met Kate, I was working as a corporate trainer, and I owned lots of black pants. and
you can never have too many pairs.
Well, especially in the corporate world. I say with pride that I don't think I own a single pair of black pants except for wax jeans. But anyway.
Nice.
So, you know, for me, it was really an evolution of just listening to this part of myself that just kept wanting to surface. And this might be inappropriate for Glimpse TV, but
I don't think there's such thing.
I remember when I first moved to New York, I, had HBO for the first time. And I was watching the show HBO Real Sex.
Oh, yeah.
Which can be a little wacky from time to time.
Totally amazing, though.
And totally amazing. And I would see these people, doing their thing.
Yeah.
Doing their thing, out in the spotlight, and I was like, God, I don't necessarily have the urge to dress up like a horse, but I do have the urge to live with that level of authenticity at that volume, And,
so bestiality isn't your thing. Is that what you're saying?
Horseplay, I mean, I never know. I've never tried it.
You never know, but it's not in the curriculum at the school of
no,
Charming Chief.
Not
just
as
so we're clear.
2013. So, that was an example of just a trail I wanted to follow and that I was simultaneously terrified of, because what's more scary than living who you really are? Come on.
Yeah.
And so I embarked on a journey of, doing multiple classes, researching, and one of the things that really piqued my interest was understanding and relating to my own sensuality as a woman, and having that be a source of power and empowerment. So I did multiple courses in that, and I did I did courses in burlesque. And burlesque, for any of you who've not seen a burlesque show or not familiar with burlesque is a lot of different things, but one of the characteristics of it is it's a form of entertainment that includes a striptease.
Yeah.
And for someone who had struggled with body image and eating disorders and just really hating not just the fat on my body or the shape of my body, but the feminine form of my body, feeling dirty because I was a woman. Burlesque, the act of getting on stage without changing a thing in front of 100 people and flaunting, as Joe Boobs, who's the founder of New York School of Burlesque, likes to say, whatever your flaws are, flaunt them. And physiologically,
hold on. Yeah. Whatever your flaws are, flaunt them.
Yes. At Joe Boobs on Twitter.
Via at Kitty Cavalier.
Whatever your flaws are, flaunt them. And that was huge in shifting my understanding of what it meant to live an authentic life. Wow. That it wasn't just about striving for being my best self and being as good as I could be and blah blah blah, but it was the holistic side of not only having all those things that are dazzling and great, but also having the things that are not great according to the culture, and having those be your greatest assets.
Right. And putting them out there unashamedly without needing to change them first.
Yes, exactly.
That's such a relief just to hear. I mean, it's terrifying, but it's a relief.
Yeah.
At the same time. Yeah. So you started taking some burlesque classes at the New York School of Burlesque with Joe Boobs. Okay. And then what happened?
And then, I performed burlesque for the first time, which, I didn't tell anyone I was doing, because I wanted to be able to back out until the moment before my foot hit the stage, And, what was so transformative about that is, anything that you feel in your body, you're able to understand in your spirit and your mind. And so, this concept of having your flaws become your assets and, flaunting every part of yourself was a great theory. But when I actually physiologically did it, it changed everything and had a ripple effect into my life of being more willing to show the parts of myself that I thought might meet disapproval, just for the fuck of it, really.
I love that so much. I love that so much. So For women listening, you know, there might be some men listening as well, because I'm sure they wanted to see who the burlesque star was going to be. How can we, you use the term seduction a lot, and I want to talk about that in a second, but how can we seduce ourselves and invite ourselves to love those parts of ourselves that we find unlovable? I mean, yes, we can go take a burlesque class and perform, but that's probably not going to happen for the majority of people.
Right.
So what would be something that you could do to invite yourself to love the parts that you find unlovable?
Well, you know, for me, I think talking about those, like retuning your relationship to those parts, as, like, let's say, for example, you know, a person doesn't like their body or part of their body, you know, and, you know, like I, for a long time, struggled with my belly and, you know, not feeling like my belly was flat enough or whatever. And so, you know, I started telling myself, my belly is the hottest thing about me. And here's why. I could show you, but I'm actually just going to tease you and tell you instead. Because, you know, I went to see a burlesque show in Vegas a couple years ago, and it was amazing and dazzling and beautiful and a big production. But, you know, what was so boring about it to me is that all the bodies looked the same.
Yeah.
They all, you know, like had the toned tummies. And, you know?
Yeah.
And
actually, that's so true.
Yeah.
It is kind of boring.
And when you see a burlesque show in New York, or if you go to the Burlesque Hall of Fame weekend in Las Vegas,
didn't even know that was a thing.
It is, and it is a life-changing thing, because you see women from the showgirl era of the 40s, 50s, and 60s getting up and performing with their 80-year-old bodies, you know, and still being able to flaunt and to embody that goddess. Because really, you know, when we are seeking, like I'm reading, one of my favorite books is Seductress by Betsy Perillo. And she talks about how, you know, when it comes to like love and sex and seduction and being attractive, what we're all seeking is a primal urge to encounter the goddess. And the goddess is not someone with 34D boobs and, you know, a 10-inch waist. I mean, look at Venus of Willendorf. You know, like look at that rack and those hips. You know, and like
she looks more like Mr. Budo.
Yeah, she does. And so, like,
but a feminine version.
So when you see a lineup of all the same thing that fits into the culture's expectations of what something is supposed to look like, it's like, okay, that's nice. And then when you see something totally different, that by some definition is even ugly or repulsive, but it comes out and it just has this undeniable appeal, like that is contacting the divine. And I forget what your question was.
I don't know, but
that's where it led me.
That was good.
How do you love the parts of yourself?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that, okay, so this is it. Is that the only thing less attractive than flaws, quote unquote, is not liking those parts of yourself that are considered flaws?
Well, so okay, this is great. This is so great, because there was this girl in my high school who, so I used to do plays. Did you ever do theater?
Briefly. My sister in Dan Yankees.
Nice.
In high school.
I love that show. So I'm a total musical theater nerd, and I did shows in high school, and there was this girl in my high school who was not particularly attractive and not particularly talented. And yet, she always got the starring roles. Yeah. Because she had no doubt in her mind that she was the hottest thing and the most amazing singer and the most amazing dancer. And everybody else, like, it was this sort of vortex around her. So let's talk about, is that seduction, or is seduction something else? I want to know what that is.
Such a good question, such a good example. So seduction is attraction.
Okay.
And, you know, in the culture, we're taught that seduction is about sex and it's about, being perfect and having this impermeability and, you know, being cold and calculating and manipulative. And that's one form of seduction, but really to me that's just someone who's really bored playing head games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's, yeah.
Seduction as a spiritual practice and as a way of life is exactly what we're talking about, which is living with the utmost authenticity, boisterously. And in doing that, you naturally attract or seduce what you really want.
Yeah.
You bypass your ego's need for control, and you attract your true soul's desire. So that is seduction.
Oh, wow. So it's like living an invitation to your true soul's desire.
Exactly.
And so it can have to do with sex and your sensuality.
Right.
Absolutely. Or perhaps it has to do with your money. Or
Exactly.
perhaps it has to do with your health.
Exactly.
Okay, so it can really be across the board.
Totally.
And so it's kind of like the law of attraction, but so much sexier.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So just to...
I say that all the time. Seduction is the new law of attraction.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how do you teach seduction? I know that you've got some things going on here in New York City, and I'd love to invite the people listening to play with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how I teach seduction is, first of all, you know, whenever I teach about seduction, you know, the very first step is to retune the definition.
Yeah.
You know, because seduction, according to the dictionary, is to entice or invite into sex or to lead away from duty.
Is that what the
That's what the dictionary is. It's like, what does that even mean?
Well, you know what? I want to be led away from duty.
Right,
Who wants
yeah,
to live a
that's
life
true.
of duty? That sucks.
That's true.
So I'll go with that.
Okay, thank you for that redefinition. See, it's a continuum. We learn from one another. So the very first thing is to retool the meaning of that word and what it means in your life. And you know, sometimes when women come to my classes, you know, it's in an attempt to attract a mate or to be more sexy, and you know, they think they're going to come and learn charm school stuff like how to walk in high heels and you know, all that kind of stuff. And we do all of that because that's really fun, and why wouldn't you want to do that? But what we also do is we work on something called the art of seductive restraint, which actually in the workbook I feature a quote from you.
Oh.
If it's not a hell yes,
It's a no.
it's a no.
And that is not my quote, but I can't remember the original person I heard it
Okay,
from.
well.
So, but we'll just attribute
vessel.
it
You were
to
the
the
vessel.
general populace.
You're the vessel. And like so many women who've taken my classes have their lives changed by that quote, because for so many of us, you know, like seduction, we are in the game of seduction nonstop, day and night. Look at, you know, an advertising company.
Yeah.
You know, advertising is completely based on seduction. And when you don't understand the true nature of seduction and how it is really the science of attraction, it's easy to fall under its spell and be like, I feel nice about myself. I feel, there goes that girl with those sexy boots. I feel horrible about myself. I have to go out and spend $300 on those boots. You know, like that's a form of seduction. And in my classes, you know, like the art of seductive restraint is if it is no longer an option not to act, that is when something has truly seduced you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just was... Yeah.
So like, for example, like you see those, and so like you see those boots walking by and you're like, you know, like you feel this lust and this salivation. But seduction requires a tremendous amount of inner inquiry and a tremendous amount of surrender to, why do I really want those boots?
Yeah, it's a discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And saying no.
It's not hedonistic in any way.
No.
And it's not instant gratification.
Exactly. It is a holistic practice. It's a practice in wholeness. Because when you approach seduction from that standpoint, you see through the game of those boots trying to make you feel bad about yourself so that they'll make you spend money. And you say, you know what? That I value my $300 more than I value having that look that I just saw in that girl who walked by. And so, therefore, they have not seduced me.
Right, and maybe you value the way that $300 could help you pay off your credit card balance.
Exactly.
Or move towards putting a down payment on your dream home or whatever.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's
Yes.
profound.
Or be philanthropic, you know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I know that you teach in New York City. You teach a beautiful class called Koya, which people can take at Sacred in Brooklyn, right?
Actually,
No?
Koya is, they do teach Koya at Sacred in Brooklyn,
But you
but
don't
I
teach
teach
it
it. I'm teaching it there tonight, but again,
not
this is
generally.
retroactive. I teach it at the Yoga Collective on 29th between
Okay.
6th and 7th.
But you can get the whole schedule at kittycavalier.com. There's a link below the video. So if you've enjoyed listening to me and Kitty, particularly Kitty, because you get to hear me all the time, talk about seduction as a spiritual practice, talk about charm and chic, talk about how you can incorporate this into your life to really attract your true desires, then please share this video with a girlfriend that you think that it could help in her life. Share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, like the video below, and subscribe to Glimpse TV on YouTube and also at katenorthrup.com so you can get on the list and get every single new episode of Glimpse TV sent right to your inbox.
Try to resist her. Such a seductress.
Thank you so much for
My
coming on my
pleasure.
show. This
My
is amazing.
pleasure. Oh, thank
you.
Yeah.
Feeling a little bit seduced.
Yeah.
That's probably not the sound of seduction.
Oh no, it is. You tapped right into it.
Dun, 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 dun.